All right. So, this will be my fourth attempt of trying to create this video. My life is so hectic. It's ridiculous. I have so many things to do all at the same time, and not enough time in the day. But that's what the life of a person who holds a lot of power has to deal with. They have to deal with a lot of responsibility. These things are intertwined. But anyways, the topic that I want to talk about today is a topic that I said I would discuss in the future. And it is the statement of inverse hypergamy, or rather the name of inverse hypergamy, what it is, how it plays out, what it looks like. I'm sure we all have pretty much seen it. It's just that it doesn't have a name for it. And I thought it would be beneficial to put a name to this. We all know what hypergamy is here in the manosphere. Hypergamy, just for those who may not know, is the action of marrying a person or of a superior class or caste. Usually this means you marry someone who has, I guess, a higher standing in the social order, or you marry someone who comes from a rich family who has a lot of money. Either way, it's marrying up from a position that you are in or that you want to be in. But anyways, let's go on to the definition of inversion, or inverse. Inverse usually means the opposite direction, out of order, or let's say like a different direction of going. Notice that there is still a direction. Out of order still has a placement to it, meaning that it has a start point and an end point. Opposite direction has a start point and an end point, or a directional point rather. So just to be clear, inversion is still a direction. And I want to make that very clear. So we have the groundwork of these definitions so that I can explain these things to you. But what I mean by inverse hypergamy, we see it all the time. There have been plenty of YouTubers who have hinted or have actually talked about what I'm about to talk about. It's just that it does not have a name to it. But I figured, calling it such would be beneficial so that we have a name for it and we don't have to go through this long, lengthy discussion about what inverse hypergamy is if we have someone who laid the groundwork in a consolidated form of what it looks like and how it operates. But anyway, inverse hypergamy, it's the act of picking someone because of certain attributes. That still applies. But how it's different from regular hypergamy is usually when we think of regular hypergamy, we think of someone who is, once again, marrying up. We think of someone who is choosing someone because they have a higher status. But rarely do we look at it in an inverse form. The inverse form is, I'll give an example of a situation that I was in not too long ago in my life. It wasn't anything recent. I've since learned my lesson on that. But anyways, I was dating this girl who wasn't materialistic at all. I mean, everyone likes nice things. If I would have brought her a diamond ring, she probably would have looked at me crazy. First, I would have looked at myself crazy because it would have been a totally different person who would have did that. But anyway, she wasn't a person who valued a lot of material things. She was very much a minimalist. She grew up on a farm, and she grew up, around older people. So she wasn't really huge into technology. She wasn't really huge into automation or any of those things like that. I mean, she would literally avoid the self-checkout because she felt that it was anti-interpersonal. That type of girl. But anyway, I am very much a man of means. I don't brag or boast. It's just what it is. I know what I am. I'm a man who has the ability to make things happen. Though I live my life in a minimalist lifestyle. I don't have more than one house. I don't have more than one car. I don't have some super luxurious car or anything like that, because I don't desire to have any of those things. They don't bring me any, they don't add to my life, I don't think, personally, for the direction that I want to go in. So we got along on that front. So, but there were points where, she would want things. I'm like, that's not a good idea. That's not a good idea. I mean, she was working, making her own money, and I wasn't supporting her, but, when she needed help, I'd help her out. But she was definitely contributing. Don't get that messed up. I was definitely benefiting from the situation more than she was, and that's how it will be in my mind. Though, on her end, she probably felt the same way. But anyways, time goes on, and she, of course, wants to move the relationship forward more. You know how women are. What are we? What are we going to be? Where do you see us in 5 years type of thing? And like I said, I have a lot of things going on. I mean, I don't have time to sit down and have these discussions about intangible things, because there's nothing that's happening right now. So, I mean, it's good to plan, but it's a relationship. You play it by ear. You go at the rate of speed that feels comfortable for you. So, therefore, what's to discuss? That's my logic of thinking anyways. So, I ended up, putting it off, and we never really had the conversation about it. I mean, and through that, she felt that I was emotionally detaching. I mean, which could be reasonable. I mean, I'm not the person who really emotionally attaches to anybody. I don't view people as disposable, although you really have to work hard to get me to the level of a very secure emotional attachment. Well, I wouldn't say you have to work hard, but it just takes a certain woman to push those buttons. And a lot of women don't know how to do it, even if I tell them how to do it. But there was something, there were things that started to happen. I was still red pill at the time. And a lot of people probably look at it like, how are you red pill that you're in a relationship dating on? You can still have the mindset, and you can still watch out for signs. I very much protected myself financially, other risks. I took very great measures and to make sure that I wasn't caught up in no mess. But anyway, so we lived together, which is probably another red pill no, but whatever. We lived together, and I would take care of a good portion of the bills. She would clean, and she would do everything pretty much a housewife would do. I have children. She would help take care of them as well. And she never treated my kids bad or anything. They never reported anything crazy to me or nothing like that. And I've known her for years. It's just now we just started dating at that point in time in my life. So time goes on. Our relationship becomes more and more strained, because the further I put it off, the more she becomes doubtful in my positioning of what I say I want us to be eventually. I wanted this to be a whole lot more solid, but I'm not an on paper type of person. I don't mind having a discussion of what are we, if the story matches the title of the book. You can then name the story as such. But anyway, she ended up cheating on me. But let's go back to the hypergamy thing. One would think that she would cheat on me with someone who had more means than I did, or who had more status than I did, because that is the definition of hypergamy. If you really look it up, it says the action of marrying a person of a superior caste or class. But the person that she cheated on me with was not of superior caste or class. Nor was he an alpha male, if you want to put it that way. He was not any of those things. But the one thing that he had, well, I can't say that he had, the one thing that he expressed that I didn't express, was he told her what she wanted to hear. I'm a very straightforward person when it comes to a lot of my dealings with women. I mean, there are sometimes you have to play the game, if you want to call that, with certain women. But for majority, I don't mess with women who I have to play the game with because it's so tedious and it's so energy draining. It's just not in me. But she ended up, sleeping around with this guy. And I never asked her why. I knew why. I later found out, kicked her out same day. I mean, the whole boo-hoo, why did you do this? Why did you do that? And you never really loved me. The whole spiel of, the shaming language and all that. But that is inverse hypergamy. It is out of order. It is the opposite direction. But it is a direction. So sometimes women will practice inverse hypergamy because she will find more value in intangible things than she does tangible things. Because you can say social class is intangible, but it equates to a tangible lifestyle at the end of the day. Whereas someone telling you what you want to hear is non-tangible as hell. There's nothing tangible about it. It gets the tingles going. It plays on the feels, if you will. So that is my definition and explanation of what inverse hypergamy is. I'm sure there are plenty of guys who experience this and they didn't understand why it was. It's because whatever you had was not enough to quell what her desire was. And it makes no sense because it's the opposite of what hypergamy is, what we know to be the definition. Women, we want to paint women in this corner of, they're just all after resources. They're just all after a man with means. They're just all after the tallest guy. They're just all after the guy with the most attractiveness. Mind you, this guy, he was nowhere near. I could pull all his chicks easily. Because I actually knew the guy, and I still know the guy. We're cool. I don't have any issues with him. Like, nah, I don't. Yeah, you get it. But, because he actually told me about it, and I was like, oh, word, really? I kind of seen that coming. He was like, yeah. We laughed about it, but later on. But anyway, that is inverse hypergamy. It is not always about money. It's not always about resources. Sometimes it's about how you make a woman feel. It's intangible. It's opposite. It's counterproductive to a woman's mating strategy. In some regards, because making her feel safe is part of it, but that is in her nature. Her nature is to be safe. So be on the lookout for that. I just wanted to clarify that and put that definition out there. I haven't heard anybody use this term, but I've heard people talk about it before. But let me be the first to say it. Inverse hypergamy is a real thing, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. But until next time, this has been the Wolf in Betaclothes, and I will see you on the next go around.